This conference will now be recorded.
So let's start with Abbas. Uh, can you explain me what your how many years of experience do you have and what skills or technology that you are working on, so that we all can get to know each other better, and then we'll start our session.
Hi sir, this is Abbas.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, we can hear
Sir,
you.
yeah, I am final year UG computer science students from Chennai.
Okay, great.
Hello.
How about Abhishek? I'd request others to go on a mute when you are not talking. That will because I see there are a couple of background noises coming in. So if you guys can go on a mute, that would be really great.
I am not phone.
Hello.
Yes, Abhishek, please
Hello.
go ahead.
Hello, this is Abhishek. Hello, this is Abhishek from Mysore. I am working in system administrator in Dandri Engineering and Consulting Private Limited,
Okay.
Karnataka.
Hello. Hello.
Uh, yes.
Hello. This is Niyar. I'm currently working on Upsys IT Private Limited, and I'm using Angular as technology
Okay,
to
great.
build web application. That's it.
Okay. How about Francis?
Sorry.
How about Francis? Francis, can you hear us? Okay. Kapil?
Yeah, hi Surajit, this is Kapil.
Yes, Kapil. Can you help us with what your experience is and what you are working right now?
Okay, currently I'm working as a big data and DevOps.
Okay.
So, total I am having around 4.5 years of experience in big data and AWS. So, I'm looking for AWS big data certification.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
The time
Uh,
is just
how,
4 o'clock.
how about Mutharam?
Hi, this is Muthuraman. I have 3.5 years experience. I'm currently working in Atos Intel.
Okay, great. How about Nihar? Oh, I spoke to Nihar. How about Praveen?
This is Praveen from Chennai. I'm working in SLK and I have 1.3 year experience in big data admin.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how about Priyanka? Priyanka, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
कैसे
Yes,
मारो चप्पल तुड़ पकड़ते हैं सही की वजह
Rohit, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi. So this is Rohit from Bangalore. I'm currently working in Deloitte, and technologies I'm working on is big data, Hadoop, Spark, Kafka, and I have 6 months of experience since I'm a college grad. I'm Abhishek.
Great.
लाइव आवाज नहीं रहा है अब कुछ
How about Sandeep?
इंट्रो कह रहे हो एवं नाइस
Hello, Sandeep, can you hear us? How about Sunil?
Yeah, hi. I'm Sunil. I have about 10 years of experience and I work with IBM.
Okay, great. Okay, I think we have Monica as well. Monica, can you hear us?
Yes, Suraj.
Can you give a quick round of introduction with what your experience is and what technology you worked on so far?
Yeah, this is Monica, and I have total experience of close to 1.5, and I work for storage. Presently, we're working on an Exenta store.
Mm-hmm.
It's an open source.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's cool. Amol? Hi, Amol. Can you hear us? Okay. I think a couple of people has some mic issues with their mic, maybe not able to speak. But let's get started. I'd request everybody to go on mute when they are not talking, so that there'd be no background noises. And let me start with my introduction. So myself, Surajit Kundu. I am working in IT from last more than 6 years. So I worked in multiple technologies as well as I'm working in an AWS. So working on AWS from couple of years. So I worked for a lot of business domains like energy and resource, healthcare, as well as the insurance domain, where we have implemented a lot of AWS solution. We migrated customers on-premise databases and data center to the cloud. We help them to bring their traditional ETL processes to the digital ecosystem. And currently, I'm associated with the dimensionless technology, where I'll be in touch with you all throughout the session, throughout the course, and I'll be helping you to implement the real life projects and use cases. I may not be teaching you all the courses, but yeah, I'll be conducting and monitoring this course. Okay, that's all from my side. Just give me a minute. Guys, I would request you please be on mute when you are not speaking, because the background noise can spoil our session. Other people will not be able to hear. Okay, let me share my screen. Hope you guys can see my screen. If you are not able to see my screen, then just ping me on the chat box. I'll make sure you can see my screen. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the AWS big data specialty. So before we move on to this session, let's start with what is AWS first. So in a very high level and in a very easy term, it's an cloud computing. Now, what is the cloud? It's simply your massively linked data center. It's a full of your compute fabric as well as the data fabric. It's a very abstract, but it's true. So when you create an AWS account, you get a free trial. What does that free trial is? It's a small chunks of your compute fabric and the data fabric, which has been given to you as a free. But when you go for a large scale, they charge a bit, or charge handsomely, you can say. Now, you only pay when you use this complete compute and the data storage. You don't pay when you are not using it. And the moving data to the cloud is very cheap than if you move out from the cloud. Very costly. Now, what is the major benefit of cloud? The major benefit of the cloud is that if you see in the traditional system, in the traditional ecosystem, you have to maintain your data center. You have to bring all have a good burden of all the hardware and networking stuff and security and all those things that you'll have to take care. But if you move towards the cloud, you don't have to worry about your hardwares. You don't have to worry about your networking and all those things. Now you can also stop guessing about the capacity. Let's say, for example, you are trying to design a new solution or build a new application where you see you need a massive amount of computation power. You don't have to worry about your heavy lift and shift. You just have to, but if you go towards the cloud, you can just easily scale up and scale down your compute power. That makes your life very easy in cloud. Now, it has been observed that if you are running a business, you get the value from the business when you from your application, not from the compute or from your infrastructure. So instead of worrying about your infrastructure, if somebody else like a cloud provider, they can take care of all your infrastructure and infrastructure stuff, or infrastructure and hardware, you can directly go to build your application. You don't have to worry about what my capacity would be, or what will be the capacity planning in the next 5 years. You can in the cloud, you can just in a minute you can inflate a large scale of compute, or you can scale it down when you are not using it. This benefits that you get from the cloud. Hello. Yes. Okay. So this is these are the couple of benefits, and on the other hand, you have another great benefit of cloud is, let's say, you are running a global business, and where your customers are worldwide. You have customers from US, you have customers from India and Netherlands, or all over the world. Now, if you serve your customers request from let's say India, then your customers who are in US will not get that performance benefit, because your all data center is sitting in the India, and there would be latency. Now, if you need to give the customer a good experience, then you'll have to move your data center or make a copy of your data center to an US. So in that situation, it would be very tough for you, and it's a very complex situation to bring and move all your data to US. Now, with the help of cloud, within a minute, you can change your region, and you can make a copy of your Indian data center to an US. So the customer sitting in the US will get its low latency experiences, and this will make your customer experience more better.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I want to know that if I want to use decentralized app like a blockchain, so it would be helpful for like as if you say there is you manage the data in cloud, and you'll manage the data in a centralized manner. So in case of decentralized, what would be its possibility?
So you can build a decentralized application as well. Like if you when you move the data from one data center to another data center, or you have the data in a different zone, that means that your both the environment can be in a sync. Your both the region can be in a sync if you need that kind of
Okay.
facility, so that your data is centralized, but you are connecting to that region which is near to you. But now this cloud provider's responsibility is to make your data available to other regions as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So there are mainly, and one more benefit of cloud is you can get whatever your on-premise solution is, you can bring as it is to the cloud. There'll be no with the same configuration, with the same compute power, and everything is in same. Now the type of cloud computing, there are three major type of cloud computing is available nowadays. That is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Now let's have a quick differences between all these three services. So in the first, if you see in the first column, we have on-premise servers. So in the on-premise servers, you maintain all your application, data, runtime, middleware, ways, virtualization, server, storage, networking. All these things you have to maintain because it's your hardware, it's your storage, and everything is owned by you only. Now this part is very complex because all these things you'll have to manage by your own. But if you go to that infrastructure as a service, where your virtualization, server, storage, and networking, this part is being taken care by the cloud provider. But on top of that, you can choose your own ways. You can choose your own middleware, runtime, as well as you can build your application on top of it. So this infrastructure as a services is benefited for the people who want to have a high level of control over, sorry, a low level of control in their infrastructure. Like they want to choose their ways, they want to choose a middleware, runtime, application, and it's very customizable in that situation. Now, if you move to a platform as a service, in the platform as a service, you only bother about the application and the data. So you build your application with the data and you are good to go. You don't have to worry about what waste is running in the background, what virtualization, what servers, what is the networking, what is the storage capacity, and all those things. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to worry about your own application. And rest of all would be managed by your cloud service provider. But when it comes to SaaS, it's completely a software as a services. You don't even have to bother about your application and about the application and the data. You will just have to use it. So for an example of the SaaS is your Google Drive, over Office 365, or any of the softwares that we do use. Yes, if you see, if we run the Google Drive, we don't bother about what the waste is, what data it is, or what is the storage underneath, what servers, where in which server it is running. We don't bother about all these things. This is an overview of AWS cloud computing. In AWS, they provide a lot of services for the different purposes, like for compute, storage, or data collection, for artificial intelligence, IoT. There are more than hundreds of services available in AWS for the different purposes that you can use. Any questions so far? Okay, let's move on to the next slide. That is, what is big data? So in a very simple term, it's a massive set of structured and unstructured and semi-structured data from different sources like your web traffic, like social media, sensors, and etc. For example, let's say if you go to any of the website, we do click on the products, we click on the products, uh, we sometime buy product, or we sometime don't buy product. So all this nowadays, all this data is being collected, and the Excel storage has been gone now, and all this streaming data, logs data. You see, if you go on the road, then you'll see there are a lot of sensors nowadays is coming in. So that keeps on capturing the data, and and it's been increasing very heavily. Like every day, you are generating terabytes and terabytes of data, and this massive data is, we simply call it as a big data. Now, if you see in the current trends, so big data is nowadays, it's not an alternative. It's a must to have all the business units to run in this digital world, because every day the amount of data you are generating, if you are not able to handle this amount of data, you will be in lagging behind. And big data is the blood of all the organization, because that's the traditional system, that traditional way that we had a gut feelings that, hey, we know, in the, let's say, for revenue purpose, we know that after 5 years I'll be reaching that. But this kind of gut feelings has been moving away, and now everything is being driven by the data. So that's what you may have heard about the term like data driven company, data as a service. So these are these way people are using their existing and history of the data and making a good sense out of it. So now, in a very layman term, you can say that big data is a volume, variety, velocity. So these are the three V's of big data that we know so far. Like when you say volume, the amount of data we get from the different sources. And the variety, the data types are nowadays, it's very various. Like it could be your JSON, it could be your Parquet, it could be a plain text format, it could be your CSV, it could be in your relational database. There are in numbers of varieties of data we use to get in a daily basis. Now, if you go to the velocity, and the velocity is the way it is generating, the speed, it's very massive. Every day, if you are getting the data 1 terabyte per day today, you will see after 5 to 6 months it's become 1.5 terabytes, and over the time it is being increasing very rapidly. And our traditional data management system or traditional databases are not capable enough to handle this velocity. There are three more V's that is being added in the big data nowadays, and it could be more V's that has been observed. That veracity, that the degree in which the data can be trusted. So you get the data from the different sources. Now, in which angle that you will trust the data to maintain the quality of your big data. And the value, the data that you have collected, what's value that data is giving you. That's we always concern about the value, because the bad data can lead you to a danger, but good data can make a good sense. The variability, the variability, the way this big data can be used, like your data can be used for your artificial intelligence purpose, and the other hand, your data can be used for any of the business information reporting. And there are also different ways that your big data is being used so far. So any questions so far? This is a simple overview about the big data. Now, let's talk about why big data is important, or why your big data makes sense in cloud. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about the big data specialty. What is big data specialty? Now we talk about AWS a bit. We talk about the big data a bit. Now, what is big data specialty? So, as you see in the big data space, we get a very massive volume of data on a daily basis. Now, there would be a way that this big data can be managed or can be uh, design and implementation. So the designing and implementing big data solution with AWS services is known as that AWS Big Data Specialty. AWS Big Data Specialty is an exam or certification program that is being organized by AWS to give you proof that you have a good knowledge on AWS as well as big data, and you are good enough to sorry you have a right skill to develop this solution. Now, in the big data in AWS space, what we do, we leverage tools to automate the data analysis, because uh, this will reduce the human error, as well as this will make you move faster in this high-paced world. And also this we try to modernize our data management process every day and daily to daily life. So AWS toolset provides a wide range of services. AWS provides a wide range of toolset with the help of all this process. You can modernize your data management process. Like what was the wrong? Let's first understand what was the wrong with the uh, traditional data management system. In the traditional data management system, you have seen that there was a lengthy development team, right? There would be a developer, testers, as well as the security professionals are included. So this makes your life a very complex, and this takes a long time to develop a small piece of application even. So with the help of the cloud and the lot of services, we can minimize that. We automate the stuff. And the second thing is, in the traditional data management process, you had a lot of silos. Like you may have seen that people working in let's say business unit A doesn't have any knowledge in the what's going on in the other part, uh, like in the business unit B. So with this modern way of managing the data, you can mitigate that. Like if we implement the data lake solution where you can have all your data in the data lake. So data, it could be treated as a single point of source for all your enterprise data. So the people from the business, financial domain or sales domain or from the administrative, all can directly connect to your data lake to get the handful of data for their business. And on the other hand, also there are a lot of limitation in the traditional data management system. Like if you update a column in let's say customer table, you have updated the column and added a date. Now all your previous job would have been failed, and most of them do that. The most of the jobs gets failed, and you have to make a changes to all these jobs. Now in the modern way, this thing is being taken care of automatically by different services. Like if you use a lot of AWS services, those kind of changes can be automatically integrated with all your existing processes. You don't have to worry about that. Now, if you in the in big data and AWS, we create a data flow, like from your source to how the data will move to the target. So this complete data flow, we call it as a data pipeline. So this pipeline will is responsible for collecting the data, processing it, and analyzing it. So now if you take a simple example of this pipeline, where you see that you have a data source, which is from where you are getting the data in your S3 bucket. So Amazon S3 is a storage services. Like for example, you can say it's a location in your computer, like where you keep the files, where you get the data, and it's a storage services provided by AWS. Now there is a Lambda that keeps on monitoring this S3 storage. Like if you see the if you relate it with your computer, it's a program that is continuously checking a directory in your local system. If you see, so this Lambda, as soon as you get this file in S3, you can trigger a Lambda, and this Lambda will get the metadata which is stored in the DynamoDB, which is NoSQL database. So all the metadata information is sitting here in the DynamoDB, and with the help of this metadata, you can spin off an Amazon EMR cluster, which will process this S3 file. And after processing the file, it will store the data back to S3 for any of your upstream applications. So like this, you build, you will be responsible for building a lot of data pipeline. And the pipelines is being built on to keeping couple of things in mind, like a scalable, secure, and it should be robust and dynamic. When I say scalable, let's say if you in your Amazon S3, you have a one file which is 1 TB, and you have another file which is 5 TB. Now you won't need that 1 TB, the capacity that needs for 1 TB file to be processed, and the 5 TB is much bigger, right? And there is a huge difference. So you won't always underestimate and overestimate the capacity, because you will pay for that. So what, based on this situation, this scenarios, you map this metadata of this file in the DynamoDB database. So let's say, for example, for 1 TB file, you are mapped in the DynamoDB that, hey, for 1 TB, I need a 5-core cluster with the M4X large. That's a type of EMR cluster. So you need, let's say, five machine that you need, and you run this and you spin up this EMR based on that. And on the other hand, for 5 TB file, you may say, hey, I need a 20 machines. So you can spin up then 20 machines. So you see that it's a very flexible. And if you see that on the other hand, in the traditional system, you did not have that chance that, hey, if I have 1 TB file, I'll need only this much compute. If I have 5 TB file, I'll need that compute. So this gives you a lot of flexibility, and this also gives you a very good amount of cost saving as well, because you save a lot of money here. And also, if you have this in a batch processing, then you don't need your EMR cluster up and running for 24/7. But in the data center, you cannot switch off your clusters. So you will have to maintain your hardware, and you'll have to pay for all the bills and networking costing and hardware costing every time. But in EMR, in the AWS, you pay when you are using, and when you don't pay, you can simply drop the compute. And if you see, one nice thing about this pipeline is your data is always in S3 in a separate storage layer. You are not having a data in EMR or in the compute engine itself. So when you don't have the compute data in the compute, you don't have to worry about this. You can always drop that part. So that's one of the major benefit that you get. So this all terminology is also known as the always separate data from the compute. This gives you a lot of security benefit as well that we'll get to know. Any questions? Any questions so far? I know there are a lot of terms maybe new for a lot of people, but if you have any questions, just feel free to ask.
Okay, so how we can manage the data to store in S3? Like I am using a
Yes.
actually if I want to store a image file
Mm-hmm.
in S3,
Yes.
so how it will manage all this process? Like I have used S3.
Mm-hmm.
In S3 we have like we, we use the S3 library to store our image file in to the AWS directory, S3 directory.
Mm-hmm.
So how this your configuration process manage um, manage my image file to load into S3? Like if it will be 1 MB file,
Mm-hmm. So
so
if you want to upload the image in S3, so S3 is an object storage, so you can there are a lot of APIs is available that we'll go through later on. That all the API you can use all these APIs to load your data in S3. And if you have an image and you want some compute to process this image, then you can inflate a compute engine like for EMR or your EC2 instances. That EC2 instances are nothing but a machine, like it could be Windows or it could be your Linux, and in that machine you can process that image. Like let's say you have an OpenCV to process this image, so you can do that. And once you process it, you can come back and then come back to your S3 again.
okay, so we have to what is a EMR? Amazon EMR.
Oh, sorry, it's my bad. Amazon EMR, it's a good question. EMR is Elastic Map Reduce, so it's an Hadoop distribution in EMR in AWS, you can see. So
Hadoop
this
distribution.
yeah,
It map access. It will map the data to certain space like this.
yes, it completely depends on the data, the way you want to process. Like if you see in the Hadoop distribution, we have a Hive, we have Spark, we have Pig, HBase, and what else? We have also have a other Flink or Flume and all those stuffs we do have. But this EMR provides you all those application, and you'll have to use it whatever you need. So let's say if you need if you have a file which needs to be processed in a distributed computing like Spark, then you can just spin up an Amazon EMR with a Spark application, and then you can process it. Like let's make it more easier. Let's say let's forget about Hadoop distribution and computing right now. Let's if you think about it's a machine with an application that you need to process your data.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's say
Okay.
you have a file in text and you need a Python to process it. This compute or this machine has that application.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes. Continue.
Okay. Thank you. So now let's talk about why big data in cloud makes sense. So the first and major benefit in the And major problem that in the big data space is its velocity. So now the amount of data and the velocity that we get in the big data space, it's very high. And if you need to manage all these things, it would be very complex situation for you. So now you don't need to have any upfront investment in the hardware and spend a lot of money on heavy lifting of managing that hardware. So let's say you have a 5 TBs of data today, and you got 10 to 15 cluster. You arranged it, you brought the hardware, you managed that, and in after 5 months you see that hey, my 10-15 cluster is not working and it's not efficient enough nowadays. Now you again have to go to market and get all the hardwares again. And it's a very then it doesn't it slow down your development process. And on the other hand also, there could be a situation where that hey, I don't need that much of compute. Maybe your data volume is getting decreased and you don't need all this compute to process the data. Then you won't be able to scale it down. So that's what the major problem, and this is a heavy cost and heavy investment here. Now how AWS solve this problem is AWS gives you the flexibility to scale up or scale down your environment in a minute or instantly. You can, if you just specify the number that hey, I need this 5 cluster, select the 5 cluster and you would be up and running in a minute. You don't have to do anything. And when you see that hey, I don't need this 5 cluster, just drop it down, just terminate this cluster. So you don't need any capacity planning here, you don't need the upfront investment cost, and you don't need to bother about the customers networking stuff as well. So it also increase the speed and agility, because if you don't have to do all these things by yourself, you can just directly go and build your own application, and this gives you the speed. And if you are in speed enough, then you will see you are in the top of that market, and you would be able to keep your pace in this digital platform. And you can build your new ideas, you can spend a lot of time in your innovation and all those stuff, which will really create a value to your customer. So it also has a pay only when you use. So when you say pay only when you use, because if you see in the previous, oh sorry, oh. So if you see in this current architecture, you are processing the data, but you are not paying for this compute all the time. You are paying it only when you are processing it, and rest of the time your compute is being freed and you are not being charged. So that's a major, because in every organization there would be a certain application which runs on one time, or there are also application which runs on a monthly or weekly basis. So for those kind of application, you don't really pay much in cloud. Now AWS provides a lot of serverless services as well. What does that serverless means? So in the serverless, what you can say, it's there. You don't have to worry about what servers it's in the background. Like if you go back to here you have the Amazon EMR, where you really inflate a machine and you process on that. But when it comes to a serverless, it's service, it becomes a service then, and you just go and process it. In the same way, you have Amazon Glue, which provides you which runs behind the Spark cluster, but it's completely you don't have to worry about provisioning the servers, provisioning and managing all the security on it. AWS takes care of all those things. In the same way, Lambda is also a serverless service which you can use for any of your small computing. So this serverless architecture makes your life more easy. Like with server architecture, you will have to provision it and you will have to make terminate it. But in case of serverless, that you will not be charged or you will not pay when as soon as your job will be completed, your application runs successfully. You will be your underneath servers will be automatically terminated, or you will not even have access to those servers or containers. So these are the couple of major benefits that you get from the AWS on big data. Do you have any questions? Anybody have anything? Priyanka, does that clear to you? Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. Now we have seen we have so far see that what is AWS, what is big data, and then what are the why AWS and big data both make sense together. And next we'll take a look at the what are the skill set that you require to be the big data specialty course, a specialty certified certified. So now the first thing here is, if you see in the AWS space, we have a lot of AWS services, but there are always certain basic services like uh, whenever even we think about a program or machine, we always think about that the compute, storage, and the database. These are the basic three things that you need in all your skills. Like even if you see in the traditional system, you have these skills. So in the AWS, that's what this AWS big data specialty is. Exam has a prerequisite that your AWS solution architect. So in the AWS solution architect covers all the basic AWS services. Like you will learn, you need to learn about the storage, you need to learn about the compute, you need to learn about the serverless architecture that AWS provides. So with the help of in this basic services like a storage, you have a different kind of storage services, and then like a object storage, block storage, and in the database you need to know what is relational database and what are the NoSQL databases is. And you should be in a good understand. You should be in a position that you can provide it and provide a solution in AWS. Like how can you build a serverless data pipeline? How do you use S3? How do you make S3 more efficient? What are the security level security level in AWS? So if we talk about the security, then in AWS, it provides a uh, shared security model where AWS makes sure that his data center is secure enough, and you will have to make sure once your data in AWS, you will have to secure that. So this way it works. Now in the all these skills that you'll have to have for this AWS solution architect. Now, when you go to the next, then it's a big data specialty. Why big data specialty needs all this? I'm a big data developer. Why do I need this AWS solution? So let's say in the data collection, in the in your data collection, it will work for you will collect the data with the different AWS different AWS services from in the different form. So let's say you are migrating a data from your on-premise data center to your on cloud. Now it's a part of your data collection. Now you'll have to make sure your data is secure enough and your data is securely transferred from your on-premise to AWS. That's what you need to learn the security in the previous section. Now you need a compute to move your data from your on-premise to on-cloud. Now your solution architect gives you this understanding that what are the different kinds of compute available to move your data. Now in the data processing units also, we have for example, let's say you have a small file. Let's take a look at small file and you need to process it. And again, you will process it in the compute. And when you move the data between compute and storage, it again needs to be secure. And whenever you are processing the data, you see that your data can have a metadata sitting in any of the NoSQL databases. So to have a good understanding of the NoSQL database or any of the relational database, you need to have a good understanding in the databases. So that comes from your AWS solution architect. And in the data visualization also, you have also like your AWS QuickSight or Tableau or your business object. Everybody underneath have the security and the compute attached to it. So you need to have that. And the data storage layer, there are multiple ways that you store the data. Like if you see in the big data, there is a major efficiency comes from the way you are managing the data, the way you store the data. There are partitioning, bucketing, and all those stuff comes in because, and your compression technique, how you are storing the data. How come if you store the data openly, let's say you have a 5 TB file and you just store it like that, and then you'll have sometime if you need to query it, you may have to scan through 5 TB data. But if you change the way of storage to, if you partition it per year, and then all inside that, if you compress the data, then your we know if we compress anything, that the size would be reduced. So when my size is reduced, I don't have to scan the 5 TB data anymore. My 5 TB can be reduced to then 4 TB or 4.5 TB. So that way we can make a good performance out of it. So all these techniques are you will get a good understanding on this AWS solution architect and big data. In the big data specialty, you will build that capability to design all this solution, how all these services will be connected to each other. So this is all about the big data specialty and AWS solution architect, these two things. Do you have any questions, anybody? Now, if we move on to the next, what is the course content that we in Dimensionless provide, and what is the expectation from the in AWS? So let's first take a look at the AWS Solution Architect course. So let's see what we have in our AWS Solution Architect course. And then we'll go to the what is there in the big data specialty, and then we'll see what is required for AWS. So you got okay. Now if you see the solution architect course, it is designed in with Python. So we so we start with the Python class courses. So people who do not have any programming background, they can take this Python course as an introduction and introductory course, where you will understand the basics of Python. What is the Python is and how the variable data types and expression statements works, what is function, string, files, directories. So these are the basic subtopics about the Python that you need to know, because once we move into the other AWS services, then you will see you'll have to use Python very frequently to work on the data, as well as work on in the connecting different AWS services. So once we are done with the Python basics of Python and with a good hands-on, then we'll move towards the VPCs and subnet. So VPCs and subnets are the basics of AWS. So whenever you create any AWS account, it comes with a default VPC. Now, what is that VPC is? Now, VPC is a virtual private compute. So if you see in the traditional ecosystem, traditional system, you have your own data center. Now, when you move towards AWS, you'll have to make sure you maintain that, because you don't want to open everything to the world, right? Because you will have a lot of secure data, you'll have a lot of secure computing and everything. And so that's what VPC comes in. So VPC gives you an isolated environment in cloud. And then the subnets. Subnets are basically specific to an availability zone that will study on the it's a basics of networking and the security, what is firewalls and how these firewalls ping up. Then we'll talk about route 53. Route 53, how the routing happens and what is DNAs and how do you check health of your DNS. And then we'll talk and we'll study about EC2. So EC2 is a compute engine, elastic compute in AWS. So this you can have your Linux machine. This one is simply a machine in AWS, like your Linux or AWS machine. Sorry, Windows machine. So and then IAM are the roles and users, user roles and group. We most of us are familiar with user roles, right? Every time, let's say if you are working as a database developer, somebody creates a user for you and they give you access to that particular database. So if you are a developer, they give you access to the development database. You may not get the access to the production database. So now the same user access and policy control comes to an AWS as well. So AWS gives you more fine-grained access and policy control in your environment. And the S3, it's a simple storage services that is available in AWS. So S3 also has a lot of benefits, like it has a different storage class. It has a security. How would you keep your data secure in the cloud, and all these things are included here. And then we will talk about Lambda. So Lambda is basically how would you process this file. Now you have stored the data in S3. Now what will you do with the S3? You can write some Lambda. That Lambda can process your file, or Lambda can help you to inflate another compute which can help you to process this file. And the SNS, it's simple notification services. So if you get any kind of like if you see in this, like what did I say, in a traditional system, you get a notification from all your jobs, like, hey, my job A is completed successfully, job B is failed. You get a notification from your compute health. So this SNS covers that you will get notification. If you configure it, you will get a notification to your email ID or mobile number. There are other services, other endpoints are also there. Now SQS is the simple queue services. So this queue services is helpful to when you send the data as a message to any of the upstream system, or you want to store the data in a messaging queue like a Kafka or Kinesis. So now coming to RDS, it's a relational data source. So it's a completely a relational database that is provided by AWS. You can have your MySQL database, you can have Oracle, Aurora, Postgre, and this some databases in RDS. And then the DynamoDB is a NoSQL database in AWS where your data is being stored in a key value pair. Then the cloud formation, we'll talk about the cloud formation template. In the cloud formation, you will understand how you can inflate all these services, like how you can inflate created RDS database instance, or how can you create an S3 bucket, because every time you will not go and manually create the create the resources. You will automate that process. So to automate that, you will use the cloud formation template to automate and provision your resources in AWS. Then we have a projects, and in the projects you will cover end-to-end in serverless data pipeline, and we'll make sure that we will also inflate write a cloud formation template which will deploy your high availability, scalable, secure web application on the cloud, but will not go deep into that web application. We'll take a copy of a web application, and then we'll see how we can deploy this application in cloud and how dynamic it would be, how scalable and secure we can make it. And we'll see how you can deploy the infrastructure on demand. So whenever you need, how you can do that. We talk more about the you pay only when you use, but how actually you will build that solution. Because if you run an instance and you don't have something that will automatically deploy and terminate, there will be no mean to that this word will invalid for you. So we'll make sure how this will work. Now, if you see, we in the solution architect that we're talking about, it covers your relational database, it covers your NoSQL database, and your automation. How would you automate the stuff? What are the serverless concept in AWS is? And then also we talk about EC compute and networking and all this networking. Yeah. So now if you go to the big data specialty, then you will see it's completely based on the big data space. And here we starts with the data collection. So in the data collection, we starts with a Kinesis stream. So Kinesis stream and the Kinesis stream, it's a service that AWS provides. It's a managed service by AWS, which will help you to get the data on a real time. So how can you bring the data in a real time? That we'll see. And then we'll also talk about the data migration services. How can you migrate the data in between the databases? And then in the storage layer, we have already started the storage layer, DynamoDB, S3, and RDS in the solution architect. We'll do a recap on that. And in the processing area, we have a lot of things and a lot of different ways that you can process the data. So we'll walk you through about the EMR architecture, and then we'll go to the Spark. In the Spark, how you can create a data frame, how you can create an RDD, how you can process the data, what is the concept of Spark, what is Spark SQL, and all this we'll cover on that. And then we'll go to the Hive, and in the Hive we will also explain what is Hive and what are the different data types, how do you create tables, how do you create external tables or manage tables, how do you create table on S3, and then we'll see the HBase. In the HBase we'll see how to list the table and enable a table, and all these topics will be covered on HBase. And then we'll go for a serverless compute again. And in the serverless compute, we'll see the Glue. It's a serverless architecture, a serverless ETL using Glue. And then we'll also see Athena. It's in ad hoc queries that you can run on the data setting in S3. Then in the analysis phase, we'll see the Redshift sorry. In the Redshift, we'll see the Redshift architecture, Redshift table design, constraint, and all these things. And then we'll go to the Elasticsearch. And in the Elasticsearch, we'll see how do you upload the text data and how do you search text in the Elasticsearch. And then we have a machine learning classes. It would be a very basic and the core concept of the machine learning. Like we'll talk about the multi-class binary classification and the regression model. And the next thing is the visualization. Now you have all your data in your storage layer, and then you have also processed the data. Now it's time to see the value out of this data. So that's what visualization comes in. So in the visualization part, you will see how you can prepare the data for visualization and how you really create the dashboard and create the report for the business users. Now, over the time, we have seen that how you can process the data, how you can store the data, and how you can visualize the data. What about the security? You are moving the data between computes. You have moved the data from storage to compute. You processed it, and you also brought the data from on-premise to cloud. Now, what is the security about this? Then we'll see in the storage when your data is sitting in the S3, how it is secure. When your data is sitting in a Redshift warehouse, how is it secure? And we'll see also the EMR security, like when you are processing the data, or how your data is secure in transit. And then in the project, we'll talk about how can you build a data lake in S3. So that's a quite big project in data lake, because you know every industry is moving towards the data from warehouse culture to the data lake. So we'll talk more about what the data lake is, why it is makes sense, and how you can really build a data lake, and how will you get benefit of it. And then we'll build a serverless ETL pipeline. And in the serverless ETL pipeline, we'll use only the serverless services from AWS. There will be no services, no managed services or compute services. And then we'll see how you can modernize your data management platform. How can you include the self-service? How can you build a data-driven platform? How can you build a metadata management solution? And all these things will be covered in the modern data management platform. And then we have expert talk. We'll have a industry experts that will come and speak to you. They will explain what they have built and so forth, and they will also help you understand what the current pain point and challenges is in AWS, because you know AWS is still keep on maturing their services. There could be certain challenges using certain services, but you will have to have understanding on those services, and then what AWS is releasing next to overcome that. So this is all about the course that we provide. And now you see at the AWS side that so in the AWS side, if you see, they have collection. In the collection, determine an operation characteristics of the collection system. So you need to have build a solution and set the frequencies that how you can collect the data from different sources, and this part. And then you have a storage, determine the optimize and operational characteristics of the storage solution. So you will see how you can store the data in a different form and as appropriate as you need. And then in the processing, you will see the Hadoop distribution systems, how you can process the data in the distributed computing, as well as in the standalone computing as well as in the serverless computing. That part is also will cover, and then the analysis phase. What are the tools that you need or technique required to analyze the data? And in the visualization part also, determine the appropriate techniques for delivering the result of the output. Design the create the visualization platform and the visualization system. And then the data security part. Determine encryption and decryption. Choose appropriate technology and identify the data integrity. So this all of this part will be covered in the big data specialty course. Anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So now if we now let's take a look after this taking this course, what could be the job profile that you can get? So in the after you clear this certification or this course, we are not only focused about the certification, we also make sure that you have a good hands-on on each and every services, so that your certification can get you a proof that hey, you know the big data, but do you to work in the industry, you need to understand what is the understand the each and every services, and it's how people are using those services, so that you will get a good real hands-on on that. And here we see that you can apply for the cloud engineer as well as in the data engineer. So now for a cloud engineer, your role would be quite designing solution with AWS stack, and your automating processes, like you'll have to write a lot of cloud formation template to build a to inflate the resources. You need to know about the security, like what is firewall, VPCs and networking. You need to have a good understanding on IAM. How do you create user? How what are the best practices of having creating users and creating users and roles. So all these things will come to you, and you'll have to write a lot of Lambda functions to automate the processes. And you'll have to in the security part, you will get a good you'll have to work more into the security part, like your data security, your in transit as well as in at rest. But on the other hand, you have another job profile like a data engineer. So the data engineer has a good understanding about the security and storage the data, as well as he is smart enough to write the data pipeline, to write the data ingestion layer, data ingestion. How do you store the data? How do you aggregate the data? So all this task will be task needs to be done by this data engineer guy. And also you are with this there are also a job profile that is called data and cloud engineer, which is a mixed role of your all the cloud automation stuff as well as your data processing. So you takes care of all those things together. Now if you see in the 2018, there is a so if you go to this study, then there is a very good job profile in for the data engineer, and it was in 2018. And every business units, you see there are a lot of benefits in the cloud, and there are a lot of benefits in in big data. So every business unit is moving towards cloud, and everyone wants to implement the big data in the cloud. And now that's what the reason there is a huge market of data engineer nowadays, to build and data pipeline, collect the data and move into storage. preparing data as a part of ETL and ELT processing, structuring data together with a scripting language like Python, working with DBAs to ensure but this part, working with the DBAs, this part becomes obsolete because in the cloud, you will have to make sure that ensuring the data is ready for use. So all these things, all this nice job profile that is being, it has a very good market right now because of that business and the changes that people are expecting in couple of few years. So this is all about the job that you can get from after this course, and you can start now. If you see what we are offering here from the dimension list, we have AWS Big Data Specialty. It's a completely hands-on course. There'd be very limited theoretical lectures. It would be an hands-on program on AWS. So we'll make you comfortable on writing script to process the data. Will help you to how do you write cloud formation to automate the process and all those things. And we will also keep you updated with the industry experts. So our session will be taken care by the industry expert, as well as you will have a session on from the industry expert that they will explain the senior expert person. They will also explain what their pain point is, what their actual solution is in the cloud. So this part, this will also be covered there. And the timings would be just from the Saturday to Sunday. So sorry, Saturday and Sunday. It's a 4 hours per day and 8 hours total, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So this is the timing. And in this course, if you see that you can look for a job after you complete the solution architect course, but it is recommend you can get then when you will be moving towards a big data, you can start looking for the job after completing the first certification. And as we move on, you will get a good amount of interview calls in the big data space as well. So now in the dimensionless, why dimensionless? So we provide a highly interactive sessions and with 100% placement assistance. You can learn from the best industry experts that we have, and then you will also get the recordings of the video sessions and notes and the case studies. It's entirely hands-on program. There will be very few theoretical lectures that you need to understand the concept of it. And yeah, we don't take much of students. It's a limited students per batch so that our instructor can communicate with you and give more time to our per students. And then we offer multiple projects. You have seen that there are a lot of projects that is enlisted, and all the session will be also on the hands-on. So you will get understanding how do you connect each and every services. Yeah, so that's all from today's session. Then do you have anything? Anybody have any questions?
Surajit, hello, Kapil this side.
Yes, Kapil.
Okay, so for AWS Big Data certification especially, so do you require to have the AWS Solution Architect certified?
No, you should not be. You should not have the certified AWS solution architect certified, but you need to make sure that you have the knowledge of that certification level. If you have two certification, that's well and good. But if you don't have, but you'll have to make sure that you have that knowledge, because you see that this AWS Big Data Specialty course is connected with the associate level.
Okay, so there will be some
You don't
scenario,
pursue
right?
for the sorry.
Yeah, there will be some scenario based
Yeah,
from AWS Associate Solution.
yeah, exactly. And all the exam is scenario based, but it's not that difficult that you won't be able to clear that exam, because we'll go through a lot of solution, lot of scenarios that we will cover, and I hope this will make you comfortable to attempt for the exam.
Okay. So is it completely optional, or it's a practical for the AWS Big Data specialist?
It would be complete an MCQ. It's now MCQ questions, but your solution would be questions would be based on the scenarios.
Okay. Okay. So are you dimensionless helping for the certification also after completing the course?
Yeah, we'll help you in with the certification, but you'll have to bear the cost.
Okay. Yeah, that I have.
Yeah, and we'll give you 100% support on that. That will make sure 100% of our students are AWS Big Data Specialty certified.
Okay. So in 2018, how many candidates passed in AWS Big Data? So do you have any idea?
No, I don't have this figure right now. I'll have to check, and I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So currently you are working in the big data also?
Yes. So currently I'm working with the companies who, for them, we are translating or transforming all their traditional ETL process and systems to the new digital ecosystems.
Okay. So you are using this AWS Glue, Athena,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this technology, right? Okay.
Yeah. AWS Glue, Athena, and then we have a few on-premise solution, like we have a reporting, we have a business object. So our Athena connects to that business object for reporting, and also we have it's an ecosystem based on the different sub ecosystem that we'll talk more.
Okay. So are you working on IoT base or something like a finance something or
I'm
insurance?
working in the finance industry right now.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think I'm good.
Anybody else have anything? Any questions? Okay, then I'd like to thank
Okay,
you all.
Surajit, it's very thanks to you. It's a very good session.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, hi
Okay.
Surjit, Keval here.
Yeah, hi Keval.
Yeah, this recording, where should I get? Because I attended lately. The recording.
Yes, sure. I'll ask my team to get you that recording session.
Okay, so they would be mailing me out, or how can I get it?
We will provide you the link of the recorded videos.
Sure. Please tell your team. They want some details from me.
No, I think we have your details in the in our CRM. We have your.
Okay. Thanks.
And if you can also reply to that email to you can write to us in at info@dimensionless.in.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can then we can reply back to you with the link of that video.
Sure. Okay, I'll just mail it out regarding the. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything? Anybody have anything? Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, then thank you so much for all of you for attending this session. And it's Sunday afternoon, and thank you for spending time with me. And thank you so much, and have a nice weekend.